Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Relentless Goal Achievers podcast. I'm super stoked for today's guest. And by the way, he needs no introduction. You probably already know who he is by looking at the screen. But for those of you who are listening, my guest today, he's the author of The Hard Way, host of the Dropping Bombs podcast, and the founder of an amazing tech company, LightSpeed VT. Bradley, welcome to the show.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Man, so today you got over 1 million. I know your Instagram channel is 1.1 million. Your YouTube channel, the Bradley TV, has a few 100,000 subscribers. I mean, the knowledge you put out there is incredible. But as you dive into who you are, you learned that at 16, you dropped out of high school, kicked out from home, tried to be a firefighter. That was a funny story that I heard. And one thing that I want to kind of get is, how does somebody who had, we'll call them failures or learning experiences, however you want to call it, had a rough start in life, get to where you are today? Like, what was the linchpin for you?
Well, Eric, I got to say, I think having a rough start is why I got to where I've gotten. You know, having a rough start is literally better for you than having an easy start.
Can you elaborate?
I started learning right away. You know what I mean? A lot of people, that have it a little easier, they don't take the lumps and learn the lessons as quickly as someone who had a rough start.
But that's not necessarily true for everyone, Brad. I mean, if you take a look at someone who's homeless, right? I mean, it's not about the learning, because knowledge is everywhere. Like anybody, we all know how to be skinny, rich, and happy. You've actually you've taken those lessons and you applied the learnings from each lesson, it seems like.
Yeah, well, your question originally was, how did that affect me? And I think it's the reason I'm successful is the hard lessons that I learned early. You know what I mean? The firefighting lesson, it is a funny story, but the firefighting lesson taught me that, hard work isn't the answer. And a lot of people are out there telling people all you got to do is work hard. That's not all you have to do. Matter of fact, the hardest workers usually are working for somebody else, who has the money. Why? Well, because they don't want to do the hard work. So it's not the hard work that matters. It's and you touched on it a minute ago, execution, applying the information that you learn. A lot of people will learn repeatedly and they never do anything different, which is the problem. I did learn and I started to make adjustments and, fortunately kind of found my way along the way.
Yeah.
But I think the number one reason I'm successful is my ability to sell and persuade.
Where did you learn that?
Just, a little bit of natural talent, I think. And then over the years, just working with all of the excellent salespeople I've worked with and sales managers and thought leaders and sales trainers and books, you just learn it. It's something that can be learned. A lot of people don't realize that. A lot of people think, oh, I'm not a salesperson. Listen, you're a salesperson from the day you're born. You're selling somebody on changing your diaper. You're selling somebody on feeding you. You sell someone that you don't want to go to school, clean your room. You're selling all day long. You sell people to go out with you. You sell people on where to go to dinner. So you're selling, you just don't realize that you're selling. And a lot of people have kind of a fixed mindset or a scarce mindset. So they think that they're not salespeople when they actually are. They've been selling themselves short their entire life.
Man, that's so true. Where did you get your start in sales? Was it in car sales mainly?
No, my very, very first kind of job was the school gave me a box of candy bars to go sell. I was like in first grade and they came along and gave me a box of candy bars, world's finest chocolates. They told me to go home and get all my friends and family to buy some, fundraiser. So I went home. I had older brothers that ate most of them. So now I had to go out and sell them. My dad was blue collar, so he wasn't buying them all. So I had to start knocking on doors. And after a couple of doors of, being told no, I realized, man, I need to do something different than just say, do you want to buy a candy bar? So I started to put the candy bars behind my back. And I knocked on the door. When they answered it, I would ask them if they knew the phone number to a good roof repairman. They looked confused, and I'd say, because when you taste one of these, you're going to go through the roof. People just started thinking it was cute and funny, and they started buying box after box after box, and I outsold every other kid. In fact, they would give me the candy bars the other kids couldn't sell. But I didn't realize that I had the gift of sales at that point, because I didn't like continue to develop that. It was just kind of came to me. The hard work, the poison oak, being expected to have poison oak as part of your job because it was a real job, it just made me realize, like, listen, this isn't the answer, this hard work labor nonsense that they try to convince you to do. And so what did I do? I opened up the newspaper and found a job selling cars. I'm like, hey, let me try this. So I went and started a car dealership, and they wanted me to have a Trans Am, and the fire service wanted me to have poison oak. So again, it wasn't a hard choice to make. And then when I started walking on all the other salespeople, because the salespeople that worked there were older, with experience, and they started just kind of being what we called floor whores. They just sit around waiting for customers. I wasn't waiting for customers. I was going out to customers. I was meeting them where they were. I was shaking their hand before they had a chance to even get out of their car. And I outsold everybody and started making a ton of money, more money than anybody in my family. And, they were making fun of me for being a salesman and working on commission. They said it was ridiculous. You need to get a real job. But trust me, folks, if you don't have a job right now where you're earning commission, I would say start a side hustle where commission is how you're getting paid. Because commission has no limits, man.
Couldn't agree with you more. When I was getting out of the Marine Corps, it was 2006. And military, though great, they get you conditioned. 1st and 15th, you're getting a paycheck no matter what. And I think I have somewhat of a natural sales kind of, I can sell pretty well, as kind of like what you're talking about. And I knew I wanted to get into sales. I got hit up by so many different insurance companies, and I was so scared to go and sell insurance because it was commission only. So I took a job selling copiers, which had commission, but also had a base salary. And I always wonder, knowing what I know now, like if I would have taken that commission only sales job, I think I would have blew it out of the water. So true what you're saying.
And if you didn't, then get a different job, sell something else. But at
Yeah.
the end of the day, if you're not in a job right now of any kind, whether it's, well, if you own your own business, then you're definitely in sales. So I won't say if you're owning your own business, but if you're working for somebody and you're getting paid a salary, that's good. I've had to get paid that way before, especially when you're younger and you're coming up. But I would start looking for or starting some sort of side hustle that I earn commission. And I'll bet you over time you get better and better. And the next thing you know, that commission will outweigh your salary. And then you'll start to realize, man, you're not limited. When people say, hey, here's what you're worth, I'm going to give you X dollars an hour, and there's no way to make more than that, then that's called limited. Don't limit yourself. A lot of people ask me, how do I raise my net worth? And I always tell them, the best way is to raise your self-worth. The more you think you're worth something, the more you usually will make. Like you could offer me, $20 an hour, and I'm not coming for $20 an hour. Why? Because I value myself more than that.
Yeah.
So again, if there's people out there going, well, I work for $20 an hour, that's because you're willing to, and someone says, well, if I don't, then I won't make anything. Maybe that's, again, experience, work, levels. There's levels to this, man. You don't just come out of the womb saying, hey, I'm not going to work unless I get 10 grand an hour. You probably will never work. You won't get any experience. You won't be able to, sustain that. So you got to take, salaries and start out that way. As long as your mindset is growth mindset, not fixed, and you realize I need some sort of opportunity where I can make commission, then I think you're on the right path.
Yeah. How would you recommend for somebody to increase their self-worth?
Start doing what they say they're going to do, get rid of negative people, start reading on a regular basis, read books, gain knowledge. Because the reason you kind of, feel the way you feel, it could be subconsciously. And even the word subconscious means below awareness. So it's something that you're not aware of, but it's a belief system that causes you to do what you do. So if you want to change what you're getting, you got to change what you're doing. And in order to change what you're doing, you have to change what you believe, because that's what causes you to do what you do. And the only way to change what you believe is to get new information. You have to have new information to change a current belief. So where is this stuff called information? Well, in books. It's in books. So if you start opening up a book, 10 to 20 pages every single day, reading, learning, growing, developing, over time you start to believe differently, and then you start to act differently, and then you start to get different results. So to fix your self-worth, or to build the relationship with yourself, man, you got to first, commit to do what you say you're going to do. So you don't think you are a liar. Because a lot of people do, they know they won't do what they say. I'm going to start a diet on Monday, but they don't. And they think, well, that's no big deal. I'll just do it the next day. I've done it a million times. I've procrastinated a million times. That actually will chip away at your self-esteem. So you do what you say you're going to do. It's just a decision. It's just a commitment. Okay. Then you rack up the wins by realizing that you get to determine what a win is. So when I drink water, I think, and I've acknowledged that that's a win. So anytime I take a drink of water, dude, I'm winning. I think brushing your teeth is a win. Every time I brush my teeth, that's a win. I start doing these little things all day long. People think I'm crazy, but I'm winning all day long. Who's crazy? And confidence is just the memory of winning, really. So at the end of the day, I'm like freaking fired up. I'm pumped up. I'm a badass. I've been winning all day long, and then step 4 is to get rid of the negativity. Because as you start to say, brushing my teeth, that's a win. You get excited because you brushed your teeth. Someone will come along and be like, dude, everybody brushes their teeth. Like, that's not a win. That's like an expectation. Like, quit acting like you just won the damn, marathon. You brushed your teeth, big deal. That's negativity, dude. You get to decide what the win is. But the trick is to kind of set objectives throughout the day that you can hit all day long. Make one more phone call, walk for one more minute, exercise for one more minute, one more rep. Any type of extra, is a win. So if you just win all day long, you start to feel like a winner. It's automatic. Then you start to realize, man, hey, I can do better. Man, I'm getting better. And all of a sudden your confidence starts going. And then what happens is negative people around you, a lot of times the ones that, love you, they warn you and they try to get you to not do what you're doing, because your attitude is starting to change. You starting to think you deserve more. You now all of a sudden you think you're big and fancy and worth all this, love and adoration because you started brushing your teeth. Like, come on, man, that's not real. You got to block that negativity out, because what you allow in your head is what grows. So you literally block out all negativity and then get new information. And I guarantee you, over a period of 90 days, you'll be completely different. You'll have a little bit more self-esteem, self-worth. And by the way, for some people it could happen quicker. For some people it could take longer. Why? Because there's a lot of reprogramming you have to do inside that head of yours.
Yeah. It's like, I use this example. If somebody was to give you $1 million to beat Super Mario Brothers, would you put the game on super easy, or would you play it on the hard level? And most people would say, well, super easy. And that sounds like exactly what you're doing. Like, if I consider myself, if I say I win the day if I close a $10,000 deal today and I speak to 10 new people every single day, and I exercise twice for 45 minutes and I drink a gallon of water, that's when I win. Well, when I don't achieve that, and that's a pretty hard thing to achieve every single day, then I feel like a loser is what you're saying. But if I say, hey, my wins are simple, right? Read a page, walk an extra mile, like just make it really, brush your teeth, call your mom. That's a win. You're playing the game on easy. Because then what happens is, if I'm understanding you correctly, what happens is your self-esteem goes up. You show up into the world differently. You're able to sell better. You're communicating better. You're a whole different person because you're winning.
Yeah, your vibe changes.
Your vibe,
your frequency changes. See, your frequency is what you frequently see. And your frequency attracts like frequencies. So if you're frequently seeing negativity and failure and procrastination and negative things, well, then that's your frequency, and you're going to start attracting those frequencies. But if you change your frequency, the way you do that is change what you frequently see. So when you start doing the win hack, that's exactly what happens. You start to feel different because your frequency, your vibration changes, and it starts to attract positive vibrations. You might lose a relationship. You might have to break up with your girl or your guy. Why? Well, because they're negative. They're fixed. They're scarce. They have scarcity mindset. They're going to start telling you, who do you think you are? Well, listen, if they don't think you're better than you think you are, you're with the wrong person in the first place. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
If the person you're with is trying to tell you that you're not as good as you think you are, you're not special, well, then you're with the wrong person anyway. Now, some people would say, Brad, what do you want? A bunch of yes men around you? No, I want someone that when I say no, they say no. No, just joking. No, but in reality, you hit it on the head. That's the hack. That's the secret. And a lot of people have what's called allodoxaphobia. Allodoxaphobia, that is a legitimate thing. And it is ultimately where you fear the judgment and opinion of others. So everybody wants to please everybody else. And everybody's walking around trying to make decisions based on, I don't want to offend this group and I don't want to offend that group. And, bottom line is you're not going to make everyone happy. And if you can't make everyone happy, well, then who are you going to decide on? Who are you going to choose to make happy? Well, a lot of people don't realize that they are an option, because that's obviously the option to take if you realize that that's an option. But our parents and our friends and our wives and our husbands and our people, our circles, they want to be the one you choose, right? So at the end of the day, no one tells you, dude, you're an option. Now, if I said to you, you have to make somebody happy, but you can't make everybody happy, choose the person you want to make happy. And that's the only person that you can choose. Well, dude, if you choose anyone but yourself, you're a dipshit. Choose yourself. Choose yourself. Okay. Make yourself happy. If, by the way, you love everybody like you claim you do, then the best version of you is the way to love them the best. So to give the best version of me to my children is actually putting them first, even though to give them the best version of me, I put myself first. People say, well, that's selfish. Who are you to determine if that's selfish or not? The best version of me is who I want to give to the world. The best version of me is who I want to give to my kids. How do I become the best version of me? Who do I need to put first to become the best version of me? You got to put yourself first. That's not selfish. That's intelligent. That's not wrong. That is right. And most people will tell you that it's wrong. And most people will tell you that it's selfish. And most people aren't really kicking ass in life. They're walking around with a bad case of allodoxaphobia.
Man, I wish I could tell you I didn't know what that was, but I know exactly what you mean by that. When did you adopt this belief?
Well, it's not really a belief. It's more of a realization. I kind of just realized it after lesson after lesson. And one day I was the same as everybody else, trying to make everyone else happy. And then I realized you can't make everyone else happy. Like, that's common sense, man. You can literally ask anybody and they would agree, if they're being honest, you can't make everyone happy. So if you can't make everyone happy, if that's a fact, which it is, well, then who are you going to make happy? You're going to make your parents happy? Well, then your siblings might not be happy. You're going to make your wife happy? Well, then your friends aren't happy. You're going to make your friends happy? Well, then your wife ain't happy. Somebody's not going to be happy. So who is not going to be happy in my life? Well, dude, the obvious choice is me. I'm the one that's going to be happy. Because if I'm happy, you all are happy. If I'm not happy, none of you are happy. And if you're happy because I'm unhappy, well, then I'm hanging around the wrong people. So no matter what, it filters itself out. People need to focus on themselves. Relationships are the key. Relationships are when you're dying, that's what you're focused on. When you go to the doctor and get bad news, You're thinking about relationships. You're not thinking about your business. You're not thinking about your cars and your houses. The second you think you don't have much time left, you're thinking about people. You're thinking about relationships. The relationship is the most important thing. And by the way, if you guys want more money in life, you got to realize relationships is where the money comes from. See, they tell you money doesn't grow on trees, but they don't tell you where it grows. Well, it grows in other people's pockets. If you really want more money, just create more relationships, because that's where money comes from, right? And most important relationship that you can develop is the one with yourself. So I always tell people, you want to raise your net worth, raise your self-worth. You know, you want to stop getting less, stop accepting less, start valuing yourself more. And people just don't grasp what I'm talking about. And this is exactly what I'm talking about.
Where did you adopt the belief of the self-worth and the energy and the frequencies, all the stuff you just talked about? Did your parents teach you that at home, or is that something you kind of learned along the way?
I learned it along the way. My parents really didn't teach me anything except, you know, how to survive. In other words, they just let me figure things out. They didn't really teach me anything. They didn't put their arm around me and say, let me teach you something, son. They kind of left me to figure it out for myself, which, by the way, a lot of people would say, oh, poor kid. He had to figure it out all on his own. Guys, that's what I was trying to say earlier. That's what has made me successful. I am resourceful. I don't need help. I am help. I am the help. Like, I don't call people for help. I am the help people call for. I got that from being in situations where I had to figure it out for myself.
Man.
And by the way, if people are listening, I recommend asking for help. Most people won't ask for help. Dude, I highly suggest asking for help. Most people won't ask for help and they end up failing when all they had to do was ask somebody for help. Oh, you can't ask anyone for help. You know, if you can't do it yourself, you know, it's not worth doing. You know, nonsense. Bull.
How did you get that first idea to go from employee to starting your own business?
Well, I had that idea many times that really didn't work out. The one that was successful is I was running a car dealership. I was in charge of, you know, the sales team, and I helped a guy that was in the back doing minimum wage work become a salesperson and start making a lot of money. And I had the ability to grab, you know, I call them, you know, blue collar laborers and turn them into badass salespeople. And if you're a badass salesperson, you can make 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 grand a month relatively easily. So I'm watching this guy make minimum wage. Back then it was probably like, you know, $5 an hour. But he's making minimum wage with a full family, right? Wife, 2, 3 kids. That's not a lot of money for a wife and 3 kids. So I'm like, let me show you how to sell. So I brought him up front, showed him how to sell, and I watched the impact that had on his family. His family became, you know, much happier, glowing, positive, you know, and it was crazy. And I thought, man, I want to do this for a living. So I quit my job to go out and start training people how to sell, close, and persuade. And that kind of led me down a path where I'm like, wait a minute, this isn't working anymore, which caused me to now go figure out that problem and solve that issue. And that made me invent LightSpeed virtual training platform. And then I ran in, and then it started solving the problem and it started working. And then I ran into competition. You know, people were using, you know, big name trainers and subject matter experts that, you know, I couldn't compete with. So I just decided to sell those guys my training system and let them go sell all the companies. And I just took a little sliver to deliver, a little piece for the niece. Little tad for Brad.
What's different about it versus just like a regular? I mean, I've seen your ads. Your ads are popping up everywhere for me, by the way. Hey, real quick, I want to thank you so much for listening into this episode. And just bear with me. We got a 1-minute commercial coming your way. Have you ever blocked off time to do some lead gen or cold call or read a book or write a book, whatever that may be for you, and then when that time comes, you just simply don't do it? You find other busy things to do, like maybe check your emails and clean out your inbox, things like that. Well, look, if you find yourself doing that, you're not alone. Okay, if you're an entrepreneur, solopreneur, or someone in the field of selling, chances are there are areas of your life where you're not performing the way you want to perform. You probably feel alone. You don't know which steps you need to take next. Look, this is exactly why we created Relentless Goal Achievers. We're a group of growth-minded individuals who have an opportunity to meet 3 times weekly, although it's optional, 3 times weekly to talk about our goals, learn new things, and take our businesses and our life to that next level. Here, click the button below, see if you might be a good fit. I think this is the group you've been searching for. I'll see you in there. Selling video courses is not the way to go anymore. It's got to be interactive. You have a whole system in place. Can you tell me a little bit about the system that your virtual training provides?
Well, there's a lot of people out there with subject matter expertise, right? They have the right information, they know what to do, and now they need to get it out into the world. A lot of people are just making videos and they're selling them as courses, as training, because man, here's the information. But it's not just the information that's necessary. That's the mistake I made when I first quit my job. I thought I'm going to go out and do this over and over and over with other people. So I went out on the road and I said the same things and did the same things, but it wasn't working. People weren't grasping. They weren't changing. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, man. I used to be able to pull people out of a Burger King window and have them selling quickly. Now I can't do it. So I went back and I thought, let me figure out what it is I was doing compared to what I'm doing now and see if anything changed. And I found 4 key ingredients that are necessary to actually train people. The first thing is you need good content. If you don't know how to do it right in the first place, that's the problem. Well, I had good content, but the next thing you needed was repetition. I wasn't giving any repetition when I worked for myself. I was going in there saying the same thing and then leaving. No repetition. Then you need practice. I wasn't giving any practice. I was on to the next customer. Then you need accountability. I had no accountability. They had no accountability because I didn't work there. I wasn't their boss like I was. And I realized that when I worked for this company and I did it over and over and over repeatedly, it was because I was giving good content with repetition, practice, and accountability. And when I went out on the road, I was just giving good content. So at the end of the day, you can't just make a video and expect someone to actually learn and be trained. Otherwise, I'd be a black belt because I watch a ton of mixed martial arts, but that doesn't work. So at the end of the day, you need good content, repetition, practice, and accountability. So the LightSpeed system was designed to deliver good content with repetition, practice, and accountability. You need a training system, not a video. And all these subject matter experts are out there. They're selling a video, and a video doesn't necessarily work. So what they need to do is stop selling a video and start selling a system. Systems are what people need. A training system. And LightSpeed is the only training system out there. All these other online courses, they're in a platform which are really just hosting solutions. They're where you host your videos. They're not a training system. They don't have leaderboards. They don't have, testing, tracking, real-time accountability, notifications, leaderboards, community, interactivity. They definitely don't have interactivity. They don't have role play. They're not designed to get someone to learn. They're designed to get someone to pay. Okay, so what are you trying to do? You're trying to teach people, you're trying to sell your video. Because if you're trying to sell a video, you don't need LightSpeed. You can sell your videos, that's been proven. But if you want to sell your courses and actually help people learn, which again, over the long term, that's what you want, you're going to hurt your brand. When people take a course, when it's just a video, it's called a course, as you know. But when they take their course, they're not gonna take the responsibility that, hey, I didn't really understand it and I only watched it once, and they're gonna say it didn't work. Yeah, I took Eric's course, it didn't work. And now all of a sudden the word gets out that your course doesn't work, when in reality your course works excellent if someone actually did it, if someone actually applied it, if someone actually understood it, but they're not understanding it. Why? Because they went through it once. There was no repetition, there was no practice, there's no accountability. And here you are thinking you're helping the world, making an impact, and you're ruining your reputation is what you're doing. You just don't realize it for a couple years. And a lot of times they're making money. They're selling their course because people are interested in that, but they don't realize that they're not really selling their course. They're long-term damaging their brand. So what do they do instead? Take the video that you created, put it in an actual training system with repetition, practice, and accountability, and then embed interactivity, which makes it far more engaging, And in that interactivity, you're now able to ask questions, collect data, which is valuable, and make offers based on the data chosen.
Wow.
Versus putting out a video that someone watches and now you got to follow up with all these offers. Dude, you had me in your video. Why didn't you ask me to buy your mastermind right there? Why didn't you ask me to opt into something right there when I'm in your course? They're more likely to convert in the course while they're taking it than they are 3 weeks later when you send them an email. So at the end of the day, the interactivity embedded allows you to collect data and make offers. So if I'm going to send 1 million people to a video, or I'm going to send people to an interactive video, the interactive video asks questions and makes offers. How much money you think you're going to make out of asking nobody any questions and making any offers? You're not going to make anything. But if you take the same traffic that you would have handed that video to, made the video interactive, put it in an actual training system that got them to learn better, engage more, and get bigger results, and present all of the other opportunities that you have and pathways they could take based on their individual needs, wants, and goals, boom, conversion goes through the roof, your marketing expenses drop, and you make 3 times the money you would have if you didn't do that. So again, that's the difference. To put it plainly, the difference is most people are out there selling videos when they should be selling systems, period. Most people are out there trying to sell courses without really understanding marketing, right? So when they go with a company like LightSpeed, which is ours, we've been matter of fact, we started it. Like we started the industry. In 1999, we were doing this when no one was doing this. So we started the industry. We've helped all of the big names that you can think of create their courses. We've watched them build brands. We've helped them build brands.
How do you do that? Tell me about that, because I saw on your site Andy Elliott. He's like been blowing up. The guy really exploded. I mean, I'm seeing him everywhere. His sales trainings, he's speaking on big stages. And then I just happened to be on your website checking your stuff out, and there's, a testimonial from Andy. And he literally says, hey, a few years ago, we barely sold anything. And now, because of LightSpeed VT, my company blew up. And I wanted to understand, like, help me bridge that gap. How do you help build brands instead of, I mean, you could just provide them with a platform. Hey, put your courses here, and here's how you get it to be interactive and, add repetition. But how did you actually help them build a brand?
Well, the platform itself didn't necessarily help Andy, but because I'm partnered with Andy, I wanted him on stages. And since I know everybody who has stages, and since I have a podcast that reaches everybody, I exposed him. I kind of got him on stages and put him on my podcast and kind of brought him outside of just the car business, which is also the same thing that happened with Grant Cardone. When I met Grant, he was just a trainer for car salesmen. Nobody really knew who he was unless you were in the car business. And just like Grant, social media came around, so he started doing this and got outside the car business. Andy, the same thing, but I think Andy is giving me more credit than I deserve. All I did was shine a little light on him. Andy's a badass. Andy Elliott is probably, like, if someone asked me, Brad, who is the best sales trainer you have? I would say it's Andy Elliott. And I have them all on LightSpeed. Why would I say he's the best? Because he lives it and breathes it every day. A lot of these people that used to be known as sales trainers, they're not really sales trainers. They were sales trainers. Now they're doing something completely different, and they don't even focus on sales training. So their stuff is old. Andy's in there every day, and he's passionate, and he's excited, and he's an example of what he teaches. So Andy blew himself up. All I did was, gave him some extra light. And why? Well, because he's on my platform. Andy definitely gives us credit, but it wasn't the platform that did it. If he wasn't my partner and I didn't make money when he makes money, and I didn't put him on podcast and get him on stages, he might have blown up anyway. But the platform didn't do it. the affiliation did it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you came on, if you right now you said, Brad, I want to be on Lightspeed. I might look at your stuff and not put you on my podcast or do anything for you. Like it's not part of the deal.
Right.
But if you're my client, Eric, and I am incentivized to make sure that you make a lot of money, assuming again that your shit's legit. Because I don't, that's another thing. You know, I went and bought a website called verifiedgurus.com. I know trainers out there that their content is made up. They've never actually applied it. It's just made up because it sounds good, and they're great at marketing it, and it doesn't work, and it's not very good at all. So again, those people, they can use Lightspeed if they want, and they'd probably do a little better than they're doing, but I wouldn't promote those guys because I don't believe in their shit. In my mind, if you're aware of Lightspeed and you're not on it, well then you clearly don't care about training anybody. You're trying to make money. And again, myself, Andy, people that are on Lightspeed, they could find cheaper ways to do what they're doing. They realize that it doesn't work any other way. So even though Lightspeed might cost them more, supposedly, when you do the math, Lightspeed costs you less. Like in other words, if you're making money without Lightspeed, you'd make more with Lightspeed, regardless of whether or not I kind of, rubber stamp you as well. So
why is that? Like, help me understand that, because once I'm selling my program or system to a potential client, I have so much more I can show them. I can actually show them how they're going to get results. Is that why I'm going to make more money?
well, no, you're going to make more money because again, I'm going to show you, and with Lightspeed, you can do this, how to embed interactivity. So the same traffic you're currently selling a video to, you're now sending those guys to the same video is now also a sales agent. It's a data collection, offer making course. Right now, you don't have that. So if you send 1,000 people to a course and ask them no questions and make them no offers within the course, you're going to get nothing. Now, some people say, yeah, but Brad, we email them afterwards. Dude, the conversion between an email following the fact that you took a course versus making an offer in the course itself is like 400% difference.
I can see that.
And not only that, if you ask intelligent questions interactively in the video itself, you can better determine what they need and talk to them specifically, which is why the conversion goes up. So if you're making money without Lightspeed, you'll make more with Lightspeed. Why? Because you can ask questions and make offers. You can't do that otherwise. There's nothing out there that allows you to do it. They're starting to pop up interactivity. I would say in the next 3 to 5 years, everything will be interactive. Why? Well, because it converts better. It's a better way of doing things. Listen, if I'm going to train you, you're interested in selling, B2B. I see B2B sales. That must be your expertise. If I see that you're, interested in selling B2B, let me ask you a question. Have you ever sold B2B before? You say no. Okay, that's going to change what I'm going to say to you. If you say yes, okay, at what level have you sold? Do you sell, Fortune 500 companies? Or are you down there with the mom and pops? Are you looking for the masses, or are you looking for the few? Because what I teach you matters. That answer would determine what I teach you. Because again, you don't deal with a Fortune 500 company the same as you do with a mom and pop shop.
So true.
So at the end of the day, how do I know who you are? What am I supposed to do? Create a massive course that's 200 hours long just to address all of the possibilities? No, you create interactivity and you ask a few questions to determine what it is that person should be learning or where they start, right? And that interactivity is more engaging. That interactivity is, again, makes your brand look better because let's face it, when you log into Lightspeed, it looks like a multi-million-dollar interactive training and communication platform because that's what it is. You log into a freaking, one of them other ones, dude. It looks like a bunch of thumbnails of your videos.
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like. How do you get them with the repetition? Like, so
repetition, dude, it's very simple. How many times did you go through the course?
Twice.
Okay, that's repetition. However, do you know that the average is 7?
Seven
Now,
times?
7 times, dude.
Wow.
Listen, you know when you're training effectively when they get annoyed that you're training. Again, dude, training isn't something you did, it's something you do. So at the end of the day, 7 times through the course, they're actually their comprehension skyrockets from literally 2 or 3 times to 6 or 7 times. Um, they start to be able to memorize what you're saying. It starts to become second nature. But most people won't do it 7 times. Most people do it once, and then they check a box that says they're trained. Lightspeed allows you to deliver the information and track how many times they went through it. So let's say I want to get you certified on my B2B sales course. Going through the course once doesn't certify you. I can set it to where, dude, you have to go through it 7 times. Now, you might get pissed off. Good. Are you looking for the result, or are you looking for a nice, are you looking to check a box?
Wow. Love it. Because you really don't have that kind of a control with any other
No, they're
course.
not. They're not, because they're not training systems. They're hosting systems. Lightspeed is designed to get you to understand and learn, which is why, we deliver 5-10 minutes worth of content, and then we engage in some sort of interactive test and or exercise. Why? Because if you haven't learned what we wanted you to learn in that 8 minutes, why are we going beyond it? Like, let's stop for now. And by the way, the attention span is crazy nowadays. So people want little bits of information, and then it's almost like resetting the attention clock by throwing out a few questions. You see a lot of these systems now that, they'll let you test people. All it is a bunch of multiple choice questions at the end of a 1 hour video. Well, dude, what if they fail? Well, then they got to go watch the 1 hour video again. And by the way, a lot of them aren't even pass or fail. It's just, that you submitted your answers. But if you do it right, deliver a little information, test them, exercise, role play, practice through interactivity, exercises, etc. Then deliver a little bit more, practice. You don't need a master exam if you tested me along the way. Most people aren't doing that. And by the way, this is just stuff we've learned over 20 years. This is kind of user experience type of things, which is why when someone's on Lightspeed and someone logs in, they're like, damn, dude, this is the baddest ass system I've ever seen. Well, that's because it's a training system. There's leaderboards, there's badges, points you can earn. There's community, there's file vaults, there's reporting and tracking and analytics. And, you can't do that with any other platform. All the other platforms are designed to sell courses. They just host a video behind a paywall. You log in, there's your video. Good luck. See you later. Oh, by the way, we're going to email you to death after you watch this video, because we weren't smart enough to ask questions and make offers in the video. So we're going to just bombard your email after the fact. Now, some people say, well, Brad, what's the difference? Dude, about 400% conversion is the difference that we've tracked so far. In other words, if I email you 2 weeks after the fact that you took the course versus asking you to buy whatever it is I was emailing you to buy in the course, 400% conversion. It's big time difference. Why are you going to chase me down and drip on your customers? Like I always tell people, dude, listen, if you're dripping on your customers, you probably should go to the doctor.
That may be the funniest statement I've ever had on my podcast. Thank you for that. All right. So walk me through a trainer's experience. Let's say I don't have a course. I'm sold on Lightspeed VT, or even if I have a course and I'm now convinced that my course is just a bunch of videos, it's not worth a shit, and I want this whole thing. To me, it sounds like I have to really think through all the answers that they could possibly have to my questions and then create different scenarios for each one. Do you guys guide that, or does the creator have to come up with it?
Well, again, I mean, if you can wrap your head around it, it's not that difficult. I've been doing it 20 years, so like I can tell you 15 things to do. But at the end of the day, if I sent you a link right now, and by the way, it used to cost like $50,000 to set up your system. Right back when I was closing all the big name trainers, dude, they were writing checks up front for $50,000 to $100,000. Now the absolute zero setup fee. I can send you a link. You can spin up a system, and you go back to the super user dashboard, and there's all of these controls. Just like if I threw you the keys to the jet, you get in there, dude. You can fly if you know how, but if you don't know how, guess what you do? You say, hey, you got a pilot. So our packages that we sell for, 30,000 and up, those are providing pilots, helping you. Yes, we help you, we show you, we film your courseware, we do your editing, we set up and do your design. It's called configuration. We configure all your interactivity, et cetera, with you. But you don't need that. You can right now spin up a system and create interactive content all you want. Everything I just said, you can do right now by yourself with our controls, because that's all we're doing is we're using the platform for you. Because most people, dude, they're just subject matter experts. They just know their subject. They don't know all the things that is required to sell courses. And I always tell people this. People are, well, let me go think about it. I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. What are you going to think about? Well, I don't know. Exactly. You're going to think about shit you don't even know what to think about. Let me give you about 10 things to think about so you don't come back and then need to go think again. And honestly, what do you need to think about? Here's all you need to think about. Are you going to do a course? Because it's heading very quickly to $1 trillion industry, and you can make a lot of money and create legacy with your information. So yes, the answer is you should definitely do it if you've been thinking about it. But the only question you have to ask yourself is, are you going to do a course? Because if the answer is yes, there is no more question if whether you use LightSpeed or not. Not using LightSpeed would be the equivalent of saying you have to go to Iraq. Do you want to go with a group of special forces, or do you want to go with your cousin Larry?
Definitely not Larry.
Yeah, because everyone says, my cousin, he's an editor. Look, guys, it takes more than an editor, okay? Number one, okay, it's marketing, okay? You need a copywriter. You need a damn good copywriter. You need, a web developer. You need, an e-commerce expert. You need, media buyers. You need all kinds of people, man. You could literally fail and think, oh, I tried that, it didn't work. And you went out of business and you went back to a job and you gave up. Why? Because your copy sucked. That's all the problem was. Your course was awesome. Everything was great, but your copy blew chunks.
Freaking Larry, man.
You didn't, yeah, freaking Larry. Or, the do-it-yourself guy. Again, you want to do it yourself, go get some of these other platforms, make yourself a video, upload it, and freaking throw out an ad and see what happens. If you start selling a bunch and you're like, damn, I'm killing it. You could have killed it even better on LightSpeed. So the question isn't, do you use LightSpeed? Once you know about LightSpeed, if you do anything other than LightSpeed, in my book, you're somewhat of a fraud. Why? Because you now know it's not training people. So basically what you're saying is you're screwing people. Why? Well, because that video you just sold them's not going to train them. You not care about that? Do you not care that these people actually learn? Because if you don't, well, then just say that in your ad and see how well that works. Hey, I don't care if you learn or not. Here's the information. No one's going to buy that shit. They want to know that you care. They want to actually learn, because people aren't buying your training. Nobody wants training. What they want is the result of the training. I don't want to learn your shit. I want to sell more B2B businesses. I want my business to grow and scale. I want to become a better leader. I want to become a better salesperson, or whatever the subject is. I want the result. I don't want the training. Nobody wants training, bro. Hate to tell you. So when you sell me a video for $97 or $9,000, I don't care what your price is. You sell me a video knowing full well I'm not going to learn from. And by the way, some people can. Why? Because they're smart. They will go through it over and over and over. They will go practice themselves. They will go, but I'm talking about a small fraction of people. But if you take that same content, the good content, and you put it in a training system designed to get someone to understand and learn, you're light speed ahead of everybody else. I mean, it's like big difference. And what's crazy is it doesn't even cost anymore. A lot of people say, well, Brad, don't you? Well, it doesn't cost any more than these other ones. A lot of people say, well, Brad, I thought you charged like a percentage of revenue. Well, we've got a 100% program where you keep 100% of the money. You just have to agree to charge 120%.
I love you, man. This is awesome. Got it.
It's like right now, let's say you have a course on one of these other platforms and it's $997.
Yeah.
and you move it over to Lightspeed. First thing I'm going to tell you is if it's $9.97, it should have been $12.97.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, it should have been $19.97, but reduced to $12.97. So you still end up with $1,000 that you would have on any other platform. I end up with a couple $100 because I have to deliver it, and I told you how to sell more of them just by adjusting the pricing model. Plus, I'm going to look at your offer and realize, dude, you don't have anywhere to take those people. I'm going to show you how to identify additional revenue streams. I'm going to identify a different, hands-on approach, which is not through the platform, but additional revenues outside the platform, such as coaching calls, etc. And I'm going to show you how to make more money. You'll make more money with Lightspeed than you will without, and that goes with anybody. Anybody listening to this, anybody listening to this in the world, I don't care how successful you are. There's some very successful course creators out in the marketplace. There are some that are making millions of dollars a month. They're not making as much as they would if they were on Lightspeed and partnered with me. Why? Again, connections, stages, podcasting, exposure, number one. Number two, interactivity, the fact that you have a system, the fact that it's actually going to work better. Imagine if everybody that went through your course was in love with you versus the 10% that are now. And you'll notice if you start surveying all your people, not everybody's happy. Why? Well, they're never going to blame themselves, Eric. They're going to blame you. When you have no proof of anything, you don't even know if they logged in, if they understood anything, your tests were lame, there was no practice, there was no role play, there's no way to put the onus back on the individual. But with the system, there is. If that makes sense.
Yeah. So it's pretty much, if I don't want you to put a pilot in the seat, it's 100% rev share model. You guys keep 20%, and you guide a guy like me to create something magical with my course.
Yeah, well, dude, we have several models. Like some of the companies that we do business with are large franchises, hotel chains, things like that. So there's different models for different reasons. But for people that are selling courses, we do have a flat rate option to where you can just pay a flat rate. All we do is turn off the interactivity. We turn off the ability to create more systems off a system so you can custom private label for all your different customers. And we turn off some of the things that only Lightspeed can do. And then we'll do flat rate like the rest of them. So
No, I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I learned a long time ago, there's some people that have limited scarcity-based mindset. And as soon as I say rev share, they think I'm taking something from them.
I love rev share. I fucking
so do
love
I.
it because it's like we're both in the game. Like
And not only that, dude, it creates a partnership, a collaboration instead of a competition. At the end of the day, like I love rev sharing. It's way better for everybody. But there's some people that don't believe that. So guess what? I created a flat rate model for those scarcity mindset types. Why? Because, dude, I want their business whether we're sharing or not. But if I have no skin in the game other than you're using my software, again, good luck. I'm not out to hurt you, but I'm also not out to make you famous and make you as much money as possible. Why? Well, because quite frankly, I don't get any of it. It doesn't benefit me at all. People, oh, well, that's selfish. Okay, good. Call it selfish. I call it business. Okay. Yeah. I'm too busy helping the people that want me to make money also. Okay. You and your scarcity based ass that don't want me to make anything. You want me to spend all my time helping you get rich when I got other people willing to share it. No, I got time for those people. I don't have time for people that don't want me to make anything. And by the way, people don't realize when I have to deliver that content and I have to even host it, because we host it. A lot of those platforms, dude, you're not really hosting your content in their platform. You're hosting the link in their platform. You actually have to go get a Vimeo account or some other hosting account, and it's all, they're separate. They're not even, nobody knows what everybody's doing. Lightspeed actually hosts all your content. There's no limit too. You can put million terabytes in there. But the point I'm making is, if somebody truly understood what Lightspeed is and does, they're going to use it. The question is are they going to rev share or are they going to go flat rate? And that's why I said it doesn't cost anymore. If somebody's on any of these other platforms and they switch over, I can match exactly what they're paying these other people. The question is why? Why would you do that? Because what I'll do is turn off all these kick-ass things I'm talking about because they don't have them. If they don't have them, why do I need to have them? So I just toggle them off. Bing, 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 bing. And now you've got a really pretty hosting system. And by the way, I still leave on the community. I still leave on the leaderboards. I still leave on some of the cooler things, but I leave off what I consider to be the real difference makers. The ability to create an additional system. And by the way, in B2B, that's huge. Why? Because if I'm doing business with this company, they want their own brand, their own content, custom stuff. Then I sell this company. Well, now I can't let that company in to see that company. So I just need another system. I press a button, boom. Now I've got a private labeled version for that company. And then I got a private labeled version for that company. And pretty soon, technically, I've got 800 different platforms all individually out there with different experiences and branding and content and the whole bit. And I'm just powering it with my expertise, which is what it should be. And this is the only system that allows you to do that. So if someone says, well, we don't want to rev share, no problem. Click, we'll turn that off. Why? No other system can do that. The interactivity, it allows you to build the interactivity off of iPhone videos if you want. You can literally create interactive content in seconds. Dude, that's almost unheard of. No one does that. Definitely not the turds that are out there claiming themselves a training system. So that would be turned off. So now you're back to just regular videos. It's still a better system. My point is dude, you don't want a flat rate. You want a rev share. You want Brad Lee to be in your corner. And if you don't believe me, go ask Andy Elliott. Go ask Grant Cardone. Go ask Tony Robbins, Damon John, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Tom Hopkins, John Maxwell, and the whole list of people that I have on my platform. Go ask all those guys. Maybe they missed something that you're identifying, that maybe they're just all were asleep when I sold them.
Yeah, I know John Maxwell. He's amazing.
John's cool, dude.
And everybody else too. Yeah, I had like a 45-minute conversation with John one time. He gifted me his leadership Bible and signed it. It's one of my prized possessions. I love it.
He's a stud.
Brad, let me ask you this. So if I wanted to go into like a mid-level company, let's call them small company, that does not have a training program, I could, as a trainer, now start offering, hey, let me create a sales training program for you. And also, could you put like SOPs in there for different departments for them if that's what they're looking for, and they just have one login, everything's available?
They don't have one login. Everyone has their own login. That's how you have accountability. But they have their own system, basically. Yes, you can do that. And not only that, we have a file vault for SOPs, and you can customize them literally, you can create a password where someone logs in and it looks blue, purple, and pink with SOPs of X, Y, and Z. The next day, someone logs in. Now it's, red, blue, and yellow, and the SOPs are completely different. Those are what I mean by you create different systems. So basically, you give the company their own custom ability to create a custom training platform for themselves. And as an individual training company, dude, that is gold.
Yeah.
That is gold. Grant Cardone, for example, he's got thousands of companies on the LightSpeed training platform. And if you logged into each one, they're all custom. And they all wanted their own thing. I like it this way. I like it that way. If you don't have LightSpeed, you have to make it one way and you have to sell them all that's the way. Dude, you can literally walk in and say, oh, you want to tweak, customize, no problem. Bing, there you go, there you go, there you go, there you go. And everybody gets their own custom version. And dude, they basically take ownership of the training system that you've sold them. They pay for years. I've got companies, Eric, paying me 20 years later, $1,200 a month for training that I sold them, that they don't use the training that I sold them. I let them customize, put their own training in there. So now 20 years later, they're using it for onboarding and sexual harassment and training their people on the shit I didn't even sell them. Wow. But they're paying for the system still 20 years later. Why? Well, because they need the system to deliver, track, measure, monitor the content that they're delivering. So listen, if you sell B2B, brother, there is nothing more like this. Not to sell you while we're sitting here on a podcast, but we should talk.
I sold myself. Well, I love it. No, I see the case for this. I actually have a client right now who's we're in conversations for me to come in and create like standard operating procedures for them, in different places to help them grow to that next level. And I'm like, man, if this tool can do it, this is just phenomenal.
100% can do it. It was designed for it.
Absolutely love it. Brad, usually I talk to folks about, mindset and things like that. Somebody's stuck, and I know I've taken up quite a bit of your time. Last question. If somebody's stuck, they're just not getting the results that they want to get, what is the one thing that they can do like right away to kind of snap out of it and get to a better place?
Well, dude, I mean, there's so many answers to that. One of the things that they can do is shift their perspective. You can be in a situation where you're pissed off, and if you just look at it differently, it changes, right? And now all of a sudden you're happy about the situation. So shifting your perspective is one of the easiest ways to improve your life, even though some might argue nothing changed except the way you looked at it. Exactly. Well, look at it differently. Okay. Be a little bit more grateful. Okay. Understand that a lot of the situations that you're bitching and complaining about, other people are praying for. Okay. And now when you start to have a little gratitude, believe it or not, instantly your mindset and your perspective shifts. Give you an example. If I told you I'll give you $1 million cash, think about the feeling, the attitude. How would your rest of your day go? Everybody like, oh, it'd be great, but you still have rent. I know, but I could pay it. Like all your problems seem to just dissolve over $1 million. But if I told you, if I give you the $1 million, you can't wake up tomorrow morning. You're done. You say, well, of course not. So you'd rather wake up than get $1 million. Absolutely. How about 10 million? 100%. How about $50 million? $50 million I would not take to not wake up anymore. Okay, so waking up in the morning is worth more than $50 million, and you're pissed you got to go to work. You're pissed you got to pick up your kids. You're pissed. No, dude, your perspective is messed up. Your gratitude is missing. Like, be thankful you woke up. Be thankful you woke up. And now once you're thankful, believe it or not, it automatically shifts your perspective. Now you get to pick up your kids. You get to solve the problem. You get to figure out how to get your car not repossessed. Because I've been in all these situations, dude. And I've literally been in situations where other people would say, oh my God, how did you handle it? What are you talking about? I was thankful for it. One time I was in LA and I didn't have anywhere to go. So basically I crashed on the beach. I was there for maybe 2 or 3 weeks. And there were showers at the beach that you could hit, if you got up early and, avoided detection. But at the end of the day, I was on a podcast and someone knew that story. And they said, dude, how did it feel when you hit rock bottom? And I said, and I didn't really think, I was just trying to think, when have I hit rock bottom? And then I'm trying to think, and I go, I don't really think I've ever hit rock bottom. And he goes, what do you mean, dude? You were homeless. Yeah, but it was a beach. First of all, okay.
Yeah.
It was a beach. Okay. It's not that bad. If you think living on a beach is the worst thing in the world, well then, dude, you need to adjust your perspective, because that's not the worst thing in the world at all. Matter of fact, a lot of people pay for the privilege to do that. Your perspective, that would be my answer. Dude, you want to change, what you look at, change the way you look at it.
And the things you look at change. A little bit Wayne Dyer there.
100%.
Brad, love it, man. I love this conversation. I'm going to figure out what my course is and probably sign up for LightSpeed VT because it sounds amazing. So thank you for being here. Anything I didn't ask you that you wish I would have?
No, man.
It was great chatting with you. Hey, if you guys are not following Brad Lee, check him out on Instagram. Be sure to follow his YouTube channel, subscribe to it. The guy's amazing. And you've added tremendous value to us today. Thank you so much, Brad.
Appreciate you, bro. See ya.
See you guys in the next episode.